Hey guys, Mr. Tonka here. A lot of people have done reviews on the 1upUSA bike carrier, and while I haven't seen all of them, the ones I have seem to leave out some important information someone who's looking for a bike carrier might consider useful. So I'm going to address some of the usual points and some of the points that are often overlooked. This is the heavy-duty double bike carrier from 1upUSA. As you can see, the 1up bike carrier can be tilted down. This will allow you access to the cargo area of your vehicle. Works best with a liftgate, but I think a tailgate from a pickup truck it'll clear that as well. Though this one is a little bit difficult to lift back up once it's loaded with bikes. A lot of 4-bike carriers convert from a 2-bike carrier to a 4-bike carrier. The heavy-duty 2-bike carrier from 1up can accept 2 separate add-on trays, allowing you to run either a 2, 3, or 4-bike carrier. With 4-bike carriers being huge, I find this to be a nice feature. And you notice how the trays step up as they extend. This helps keep the bikes nice and tight together, but keeps them from touching each other when being transported. It also keeps you from dragging the rear end of the carrier when you're going up or down angled driveways. We all know 4-bike carriers are pretty darn huge, but I don't think any of them can fold up and store in as small of an area as the 1up can. And while it's really darn heavy in this configuration, I can manage it, even while being busted up from a nasty trip over the bars earlier that day. And these add-on trays come with and attach to each other via security bolts operated by the 1up proprietary hex wrench. And storing the extra trays when they're not on the carrier takes up even less space because they nest on top of each other. With an industrial design background, I really appreciate how well and thoughtfully this carrier was engineered. All of the joints have hard ABS plastic spacers between them to mitigate the wear of parts made from expensive aluminum. And all of the bolts use high-quality lock nuts, rendering thread locker unnecessary. And if I'm not mistaken, all of the hardware on these carriers are made in-house at 1up. In fact, everything on this carrier is made at 1up in-house. Now, I've had this carrier attached to my vehicle for more than a year now, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. And in Florida, we don't have to worry about salt or any kind of other damaging road materials. But I've read plenty of reviews of Northerners who do the same as I do with no issues at all. So one of the other things that I hear talked about very little is how all the parts on this carrier are replaceable, and easily replaceable by you, the consumer, without any special tools or training. So if somebody backs into your carrier or you back into something else, you can replace anything that's damaged. Oh, and an added bonus, free shipping from 1up on all replacement parts. More great customer service. So the most common part that would likely need replacing is the glide bar. This is the bar that has teeth on it, of sorts, I guess, and it locks the arm against your bike's tire. While mine still locks like it did on day one, you can see that the inner tray gets a lot more use, and the teeth are kind of worn out in a certain area. The outer tray only shows a small amount of wear, and the last one here is from the third tray that I've only used a handful of times. One of the features I really liked about other popular carrier options was the integrated lock cables. Pit stop locks, as Seth calls them. Whether a quick stop for some hydration or a bite to eat, they are very convenient. And 1up does have some security options, though they aren't integrated. The holes drilled in the arms that lock against your tire serve 2 purposes. You can move the tire contact bars up and down the arm to accommodate for smaller tires or even your kids' bikes. Or you can use them to attach a wheel lock. The wheel lock is pretty much an extra long, extra thin Hitch lock pin. I've looked for options outside of what 1up offers and I haven't found any better deals on them. What I don't like about this option is that you have to remember to keep the locks in the vehicle you're using it on. And it's worth noting that if you purchase the wheel locks and the hitch lock at the same time from 1up, they will key all the locks to use the same key. Another nice feature, and one less key to carrier. I've contemplated purchasing them, but I haven't because I have this long heavy-duty cable lock already, and I just keep it under the driver's seat in my car. I like to have the carrier far into the receiver so the bikes are tight up against the car. Because of this, when I put the carrier in the up position, it's at an angle. I personally think this is another nice feature. It's got 4 tray positions, all the way up so that it's vertical, up at an angle where I keep it, carry position where you carry the bikes on it, and liftgate access position so that you can open your liftgate. But if you like to have the carrier nice and out of the way so it's up in the vertical position when it's not being used, you'll need enough receiver for the clearance needed. Sometimes that's no issue at all, like it is on my vehicle, but sometimes it's not an option due to the hitch being too far inboard or having something like a spare tire on the tailgate that would interfere with not only the tray in the upright position, but with mounting a bike on the innermost tray. In these instances, 1UP has manufactured a hitch extender. It's $40, it's super solid, and uses the same security bolt and hex key to attach your receiver. So, problem solved. This carrier is not all Skittles and rainbows though. It's very heavy, and for inexperienced users, it can be difficult to operate. My biggest personal gripe is the locking lever user interface. The way it's currently designed, the lever is naturally in its down position, which is used to lock the arm against your tire. To release the arm, you pull up on the lever, but if you pull up too much on the lever, it engages the glide arm teeth. So when it's in the down position, it's engaging the teeth, but if you pull it all the way to the up position, it also engages the teeth. So when you're trying to move the arm up and down or backwards and forwards, if you pull up too much, it rubs against the teeth, making it difficult to use. The trick is to lift it so that it's perfectly level with the guide arm. When in this position, the arm moves freely and easily. So I'd like to see something that stops the release lever when it becomes level with the glide arm. And that would make it much easier to operate. Lastly, if I had to do it over again, I think I'd go for the single carrier option. I'm carrying one bike about 70% of the time, and it takes all of like 60 to 90 seconds to attach an additional tray. I mean, a single carrier would just be in the way much less for day-to-day usage of the vehicle's rear cargo space. And if you wanted to take it on and off just for riding, it would be much easier to handle and store. I mean, the single tray has a capacity limit of 50 pounds per bike, and I mean, that's plenty, even for fat bikes. So there it is, just about everything I think you'd want to know about the 1upUSA bike carrier system. I really enjoy using mine. It's really super stable, it's super secure, it's easy to use once you get used to it. And, oh yeah, there's one more thing. Up until yesterday, I thought one of the negatives about this carrier was that you couldn't transport a bike with a flat tire. Well, yesterday I had to do that because I didn't want to dump out my stands and put a tube in my mountain bike tire just to get it home. So with a mountain bike or a fat bike, I don't think that's an issue at all. In fact, I drove 80 miles like this with no issues yesterday. Now with a road bike and a carbon aero wheel or something, I probably wouldn't do it unless absolutely necessary. So in a pinch, I think you could make it work, but I probably wouldn't do that with an aero bike wheel or a road bike wheel. I hope at least 2 or 3 people find this information useful. Thanks for watching, guys.